Здравствуйте, меня зовут Richard Gon. Приятно познакомиться. Hello everybody, I'm Richard Gon of Back to Me podcast version. It's a rainy day today anyway, so it has nothing to do with the weather, has nothing to do with this episode. So this time what I'd like to talk about is from the Ukraine to for Ukraine. So first of all, the Ukraine means for Ukraine. It's really easy. And I'm thinking of telling you the conclusion of this episode. The conclusion is, and to start with, the conclusion is related to English language, not Russian language. So this time, of course, I wrote Russian language on the title. So I do not only because I do not understand Ukrainian language, but also so Ukrainian people use Russian language as an international language, or Ukrainian people have used, which I think is a better expression for thinking about this situation, that there's a war taking place between Russia and Ukraine. Anyway, so anyway, there's a background. There's a how should I say? There's a linguistic background that Ukrainians or Ukrainian people use Russian language as their international language. But so let me tell you the conclusion in this part. So the conclusion is English is an international language prevalent in the western side of the world. So this maybe this I think not this is not only the case to my country, but also this I think this is the case to the broadcasts of other countries, which means what I'd like you to know, not what I'd like you to know anyway. So what I'd like to tell you in this part or in the beginning of this episode is that so maybe you have watched a lot of news related to the war taking place, or which is which is which is happening, or which has been happened between Russia and Ukraine. So there are many interviews. So there might be countless interviews in Ukrainian people and Russian people. So maybe some of you or most of you have watched the interview scenes, or the scenes of interviews for Ukrainian people. So one of the remarkable points one of the remarkable points in the interviews done to Ukrainian people was that some Ukrainian people have striven to speak out English language. I'm going to tell you again. So one of the remarkable points in the scenes of the interviews done to Ukrainian people was, so some Ukrainian people had striven, or some Ukrainian people spoke English language to the staff of flagship stations, or the staff of broadcasts. Anyway, so what? This is not. Please do not finish with. Please do not finish this one with saying so what. So that means, So if you're a native speaker of English language, you may say so what, or so that is usual, or that is natural. So if you're a native speakers of English language, you may think stuff like that. But actually, I think this is really a huge step for Ukrainian people. That is because English is at least in the case of, at least in the country I live in, people or the local people in this country understand English is an international language, or English is an international communication language, or English is a language used for internal communication, stuff like that. At least the local people in the country I live in understand or find English as an international language, or stuff like that. But so in the, so by watching the interviews done to Ukrainian, in the case of the interviews done to Ukrainian people, so some Ukrainian people spoke out in English language, and I think that is really I think that is really a significant step for those Ukrainian people. That is because maybe some of you know that Ukrainian people have used Russian language as an international communication language, and so this. I think this war changed, or this war replaced an international language from Russian to English. So I'm going to tell you again. So maybe I couldn't speak out. Maybe I couldn't speak out well. So maybe this war taking place, which is taking place now between Russia and Ukraine, changed the understanding of Ukrainian people, which is so Ukrainian people realized that they had to change their own international languages, their own international language from Russian language to English language, which I think is one of the remarkable points which happened in the understandings or in the minds of Ukrainian people. And this of course this is also the case to this country. So of course I haven't known that there had been many Ukrainian people living in this country until the provocation or until the beginning of the war between Russia and Ukraine this time. So but actually some Ukrainian people were speaking English language in the interview scenes, or in the scenes of interviews broadcast on TV or on TV shows, which means so of course so that of course I told you that so Ukrainian people realized or Ukrainian people found English language as the international communication language instead of Russian language. So I said I think, and in this episode I also realized that that fact entails. I realized what I realized was that fact that Ukrainian people began to speak out English entails that English has not reached every corner of the world. Of course, so that is usual, because so in other news programs or in other news broadcast in my country and broadcast on the internet. So watching such news programs or the interview scenes on the internet or online interview scenes. And some interviews and some scenes of interviews are done to Russian people, or particularly some news programs broadcast Russian bureaucrats, or some superior people or some bureaucrats or some ministers on the higher ranks in Russian government. So there were such interviews, which is what I'm telling you, and such interviews are what I'm talking about. And in those interviews where Russian people on the high ranks of Russian government. So those Russian people, or those Russian bureaucrats, or those Russian ministers spoke Russian language. The language spoken by those Russian people on the higher ranks in Russian government spoke Russian language instead of English language. Of course, so you may find it natural, but actually, so in the case of international communication scenes, for example, so it is natural that people speak English language. So it's natural. So at least so people changing the country from Russia to my country. So I live in East Asian country, and the local people, there are many local people who do not understand English language, or there are quite many people who do not speak English language fluently. But actually, people, at least the local people in this country, understand. So understand English is necessary when it comes to doing some communications with foreign people, or people having different linguistic backgrounds from the local people of this country. And the local people in this country, at least the local people in this country, understand stuff like that. Like, so English has to be used when communicating with people who do not understand the local language of my country. Anyway, so so of course, English is a as I told you in the conclusion of this episode, so English is prevalent in Western countries, or English is prevalent. So I mean, Western countries mean so Western European countries and the United States of America and other Anglo-Saxon countries, or Anglo countries like Australia or Canada, or countries like them, and this country and Republic of Korea or South Korea are included into the Western countries, or the group called Western in terms of diplomatic or military situations. Of course, Taiwan is included into the Western group, but actually, so which is why the local people understand English English has to be used for communicating with people having different backgrounds, or different linguistic backgrounds from the local people, which is us. So anyway, but actually, so there in other words, English has not been prevalent enough. English has not been prevalent enough to for other people who do not live in the Western group. I mean, so I'm sorry, my explanation was really broken, or my explanation was really complicated. So, for example, there are quite many people living in the Eastern group, or the Eastern countries like mainland China and Russia, as I told you. So what I'd like you to know in this time is that, of course, so there are many people in China, in mainland China and Russia who can speak English really well, or who can speak English fluently. But actually, there are many people who do not understand, or who can't speak English in mainland China and Russia. And of course, so by taking out some documents, or by taking out some online documents, you can understand that, for example, there are many people who do not understand English language in Latin American countries. There are many people who do not understand English language living in Latin American countries. For example, Brazilian, not some, maybe there are many people who do not understand the English language in Brazil, for example, and in the case of Asian countries, for example. So it is said, according to online document, according to an online source of information, there are many people who do not understand English language in Thailand. So, like which, there are still many people in need of acquiring English language, which is what I'd like you to know this time. So, which is why in this time, or in this time, or in the time of this war taking place between Russia and Ukraine, Ukrainian people were speaking English. Because Ukrainian people was striving to speak out English, but I think which is really a significant step, which is what I'd like you to know this time. So coming back to the original topic of this episode, so from the Ukraine to for Ukraine, so the conclusion is English is international language prevalent in the western side of in the western side of the world, which means English, from which, what I'd like you to know this time, from which, another stuff I'd like you to know this time is that English has not been an international language prevalent in all over the world. So this world is really huge. The earth is really huge, which means English has not reached every corner of this world, or English has not reached every corner of the earth, which is also what I'd like you to know this time. So that's it. Thank you very much for your listening. See you.